The Korean teacher's fingers were still wrapped around 7-year-old Maya Bennett's braid when the classroom door opened. Colorful beads scattered across the floor as Maya stumbled backward, struggling not to cry in front of her classmates. "I warned you about bringing this kind of hair into my classroom," Ms. Seo whispered. Then a dangerously calm voice came from behind her. "Take your hand off my daughter." The teacher turned, and every trace of color disappeared from her face. Standing in the doorway was Han Tae-jun, the Korean mafia boss whose name powerful men whispered only behind locked doors. He had come to keep one simple promise: to pick up his daughter personally. Instead, he had watched a teacher drag her by the hair. 2 men in black suits waited behind him for an order. Tae-jun stepped forward, his expression growing colder with every breath. But Maya suddenly grabbed his hand. "Daddy, please don't scare me too." Those 6 words stopped the most feared man in Seoul. What Tae-jun did next would expose years of hidden abuse, turn an entire school against him, and force a mafia boss to fight without violence or risk losing his daughter forever. But to understand why Ms. Seo believed nobody would protect Maya, we must go back 3 weeks. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments, what would you do if you witnessed a teacher humiliating an innocent child? Stay until the end, because the person who appeared powerless in that classroom was about to bring an entire institution to its knees. 3 weeks earlier, Maya Bennett stood in front of her bedroom mirror while her mother carefully threaded golden beads onto the ends of her braids. "Hold still," Imani said. "I am holding still." "You have moved 17 times." Maya considered this seriously. "Maybe the chair is moving." Imani stopped braiding and looked at her daughter through the mirror. Maya's expression remained perfectly innocent for approximately 2 seconds before a smile broke across her face. Imani laughed despite herself. At 7 years old, Maya had already mastered the art of making people smile when they wanted to remain serious. She had deep brown skin with a warm golden undertone, large dark eyes, and thick black hair that took nearly 3 hours to braid. She had inherited her mother's complexion and her father's quiet way of studying a room before speaking. Most people who saw them together assumed Maya was entirely black. They never imagined that her father was Korean. And they certainly never imagined that he was Han Tae-jun. To the public, Tae-jun was the reserved chairman of Hansung Logistics, a powerful transportation company with offices throughout Asia. But in private rooms, where conversations happened without phones or witnesses, people knew the truth. Tae-jun controlled an organization that reached into Seoul's ports, private clubs, construction companies, and political circles. He did not raise his voice. He did not repeat instructions. And when someone betrayed him, that person usually disappeared from every room that mattered. 7 years earlier, Imani Bennett had fallen in love with the man beneath that reputation. 4 years later, she had left him because she feared the reputation would eventually destroy their daughter. Since then, Maya had lived with Imani and attended Myeongseong International Academy under her mother's surname. Only the principal knew who her father was. To everyone else, Maya was simply the quiet black girl whose mother worked long hours at a private medical clinic. "Perfect," Imani announced, fastening the final bead. Maya turned her head from side to side, admiring the way the beads caught the morning light. "Do you think my class will like them?" "They don't have to like them." Maya's smile weakened slightly. Imani noticed. "Did somebody say something about your hair?" "No." The answer came too quickly. Imani placed both hands on Maya's shoulders. "Maya, it was nothing." Ms. Seo said loose hair can distract people. "But mine isn't loose today, so it's fine." There was something carefully rehearsed about the explanation, but before Imani could question her further, the school bus sounded its horn outside. Maya grabbed her backpack and kissed her mother's cheek. "Love you. I love you more." "Impossible." Maya hurried out before Imani could stop her. At Myeongseong International Academy, the students wore identical navy uniforms. Their shoes were polished. Their books were arranged according to size. Even their laughter seemed quieter in the hallways. But Maya never looked identical to anyone. The golden beads in her braids clicked softly as she entered classroom 2B. Several children turned toward her. One girl smiled and told Maya her hair looked beautiful. Miss Seo Emira did not smile. The 34-year-old teacher stood beside her desk wearing a cream blouse and an expression that made children immediately check whether their shirts were properly tucked in. Her gaze moved from Maya's face to the ends of her braids. "What is that noise?" Maya stopped walking. "My beads." "I can see that. Why are they in your hair?" "My mother put them there." "That does not answer my question." The classroom became quiet. Maya looked around, confused. Another student had a plastic keychain hanging from his backpack. A girl near the window wore 2 bright red ribbons. But Ms. Seo's attention remained fixed on Maya. "They are part of my heritage," Maya explained. "Your heritage is not part of today's lesson. Sit at the back so you don't distract everyone." Maya's cheeks burned as she walked past the empty desk she normally occupied near the front. The beads that had made her feel beautiful at home suddenly sounded unbearably loud. That afternoon, Ms. Seo sent a message to Imani. Maya arrived at school wearing an inappropriate hairstyle that disrupted the learning environment. Please ensure that her appearance follows acceptable standards. Imani read it 3 times. Then she requested a meeting. The principal, Park Hae-suk, joined them the following morning. She listened with a polished smile as Imani asked which written school rule Maya's braids had violated. "There is no specific prohibition against braids," the principal admitted. "Then what made them inappropriate?" Ms. Seo was referring to the beads. "Several children wear hair accessories. The sound may have been distracting." "Did any student complain?" The principal's smile tightened. "We are simply trying to help Maya integrate." Imani leaned forward. "She is a child, Principal Park. Not a stain you need to blend into the carpet." Ms. Seo folded her arms. "This is exactly where Maya gets her disrespectful attitude." Imani went still. "What disrespectful attitude?" "She questions instructions. She refuses to accept correction. She frequently brings attention to being different." "She is different." Imani's voice remained calm, but the room changed around it. "And she does not need to apologize for that." The meeting ended without an apology. Principal Park promised to monitor the situation, while Ms. Seo promised nothing. For several days, the teacher became more careful. She no longer criticized Maya's hair where other adults could hear. Instead, she found smaller ways to punish her. When Maya raised her hand first, Ms. Seo called on someone else. When 2 children whispered, only Maya lost her break time. When the class created family trees, Ms. Seo stared at Maya's drawing of her black mother and Korean father. "Are you certain this is accurate?" Maya looked up. "He's my daddy." "You don't share his surname." "My mother and I use Bennett." Ms. Seo gave a thin smile. "Then perhaps you should draw the family you actually live with." Maya quietly folded the picture and put it inside her bag. That night, Tae-jun arrived at Imani's apartment carrying a white box from Maya's favorite bakery. He always came without warning, but never without security. A black sedan waited across the street while one of his men remained near the building's entrance. Maya ran into his arms before he had fully removed his coat. "Daddy." Tae-jun caught her easily. The transformation was immediate. The coldness Sol feared disappeared from his eyes as Maya wrapped her arms around his neck. "I brought strawberry cake," he said. "You're my favorite person." "You said that before you saw the cake." "I smelled it through the box." From the kitchen doorway, Imani watched them with conflicted tenderness. Tae-jun loved Maya. She had never questioned that. What she questioned was whether a man surrounded by danger could ever give their daughter the peaceful life she deserved. During dinner, Maya barely spoke about school. When Tae-jun asked about her drawing, she said she had misplaced it. "You never misplace drawings," he observed. "I misplaced this one." His eyes moved toward Imani. She shook her head slightly, warning him not to interrogate their daughter. Tae-jun understood. He always understood signals. It was one of the reasons he remained alive. "Your cultural presentation is next Thursday," he said instead. "I will be there." Maya stared at him. "You said that last time." The words were quiet, but they struck harder than an accusation. Tae-jun had missed the school's Family Heritage Day after an emergency at the port. He had sent gifts, flowers, and an apology large enough to embarrass everyone. None of it had replaced him. "This time will be different," he promised. "Promise?" Tae-jun looked directly into his daughter's eyes. "I will pick you up myself." For the first time that evening, Maya smiled without forcing it. The following Thursday, Ms. Seo instructed each student to stand before the class and describe something connected to their family. Maya brought the folded drawing from her bag. She had repaired the crease and added both the Nigerian and Korean flags above her parents. When her turn arrived, she walked to the front. "My mother is Nigerian American, and my father is Korean," she began. "My hair comes from my mother's family, and my—" Ms. Seo interrupted her. "We don't need another speech about your hair." Several children laughed nervously. Maya lowered her drawing. "You told us to talk about our families. I told you to discuss something culturally appropriate. This is my culture." Ms. Seo's expression hardened. "Maya, sit down." For 3 weeks, Maya had obeyed every unfair instruction. She had moved to the back. She had missed break time. She had stopped wearing beads. She had allowed Ms. Seo to treat her identity like an inconvenience. But this time, she remained standing. "My mother said I don't have to apologize for being different." A silence fell across the classroom. Ms. Seo walked toward her. "Give me that drawing." Maya held it against her chest. "No." Ms. Seo seized the paper, but Maya refused to release it. The drawing tore down the middle. Maya gasped. Something in Ms. Seo snapped. She grabbed one of Maya's braids and pulled her backward. The classroom door opened. "Take your hand off my daughter." Han Tae-jun stood in the doorway. Ms. Seo released Maya immediately. Tae-jun crossed the classroom and knelt in front of his daughter. He saw the torn drawing, the scattered beads, the tears Maya was fighting desperately to contain. Then he slowly stood and faced the teacher. 2 of his men entered behind him. Ms. Seo backed into her desk. Tae-jun took 1 step forward. Maya grabbed his hand. "Daddy, please don't scare me too." His entire body went still. Before he could answer, Principal Park hurried into the classroom. "What happened?" Ms. Seo looked at the frightened children, then at the torn drawing on the floor, and she made her decision. "Maya attacked me," she said. "I was only trying to restrain her." Principal Park turned toward Tae-jun. For one terrible moment, nobody spoke. Then Tae-jun looked directly at the camera mounted above the classroom door. "Preserve every second of today's recording," he ordered. "No one touches it." Principal Park's face changed. Tae-jun noticed. He lifted Maya into his arms and carried her out of the classroom. His men followed silently. The moment they disappeared down the corridor, Principal Park locked the classroom door. She turned to Ms. Seo. "How much did the camera capture?" "Everything." Principal Park pulled out her phone and called the head of security. When he answered, she spoke only 3 words. "Delete the recording." Principal Park ended the call and stared at Ms. Seo. "The security team will erase the recording from the main server," she said. "But we need everyone in this room telling the same story." The children looked at one another. Some were frightened. Others were confused. One little girl near the window began to cry. Ms. Seo straightened her blouse and smoothed her hair as though she were preparing for a photograph. "Maya became angry when I corrected her presentation," she announced. "She tore her drawing, attempted to strike me, and fell while I was restraining her." "That isn't what happened," a boy named Minute-ho whispered. Ms. Seo's eyes landed on him. "What did you say?" Minute-ho looked down at his desk. "Nothing." Principal Park walked slowly between the frightened children. "Your teacher experienced a very upsetting incident today. Discussing it with people outside this classroom could spread false information and damage her reputation." "But she pulled Maya's hair," another child said. Principal Park stopped beside the child's desk. "Sometimes children misunderstand what they see." She instructed everyone to place their tablets inside the charging cabinet. No student was allowed to leave until each device had been collected. At the front of the classroom, Ms. Seo picked up the two torn halves of Maya's family drawing and dropped them into the wastebasket. She believed she had just destroyed the last piece of the incident. She was wrong. Outside, Tae-jun carried Maya through the school courtyard. She had buried her face against his shoulder. One arm remained wrapped around his neck while the other clutched 3 golden beads she had managed to pick up from the floor. Tae-jun's security men followed several steps behind them. Neither man spoke. They had watched their boss face armed rivals without blinking. They had seen him receive news of betrayal with nothing more than a slight movement in his jaw. They had never seen him look as shaken as he did while holding his daughter. At the black sedan, Tae-jun opened the rear door but did not put Maya down. "Does your head hurt?" "A little." "Anyway else?" She shook her head. "Did she do that before?" Maya did not answer. Tae-jun's expression darkened. "Maya, I didn't want Mommy to worry." The confession almost broke something inside him. "How long?" "She didn't pull it before. She just touched it sometimes." "How?" Maya hesitated. "She would lift my braids and ask if they were real. She said my hair looked dirty when it wasn't straight. She made me sit at the back because the other children kept looking at me." Tae-jun closed his eyes briefly. Behind him, his lieutenant, Lee Junho, reached for his phone. "Give me 1 hour," Junho said. "The teacher will never." "No." The word stopped him. Tae-jun looked at Maya. She was watching both men now, fear slowly replacing the relief in her face. "No one approaches the teacher," Tae-jun continued. "No threats. No visits. No one touches anyone connected to that school." Junho stared at him. "Chairman, my daughter asked me not to frighten her." Tae-jun climbed into the car with Maya still in his arms. "That order applies to everyone." During the drive, he called Imani. She answered on the second ring. "Did you get her?" "Yes." Something in his voice immediately alerted her. "What happened?" Tae-jun looked at Maya. "I'm taking her to your clinic. A doctor needs to examine her." There was a moment of silence. "Tae-jun, what happened to my daughter?" Her teacher put her hands on her. Imani did not ask another question. She ended the call. 20 minutes later, she was waiting outside the clinic when the black sedan arrived. She pulled open the door before the driver could reach it. Maya climbed into her arms. Imani examined her scalp, face, and arms with trembling hands. "I'm okay, Mommy." "No, baby. You don't have to be okay yet." The clinic documented redness and tenderness along Maya's scalp. There were no serious injuries, but the physician carefully photographed everything and wrote down Maya's account in her own words. Imani remained beside her daughter throughout the examination. Tae-jun stood near the door. He had faced death without feeling helpless. Yet every time Maya flinched as the doctor examined her scalp, his wealth, power, and reputation became useless things. Afterward, Maya fell asleep in Imani's office. Tae-jun stood beside the window while Imani covered her with a blanket. "You promised me she would be safe," Imani said. Her voice was quiet because their daughter was sleeping, but the anger beneath it was unmistakable. She was supposed to be safe at school. She was supposed to be safe everywhere. Tae-jun turned. "I didn't know." "Neither did I. That is the problem. She was protecting both of us while we were too busy deciding which one of us could protect her better." The truth of it silenced him. Imani looked through the glass wall at the two men waiting in the corridor. "What did you do to the teacher?" "Nothing." "What did your men do?" "Nothing." Imani studied him, searching for the violence he normally concealed behind perfect stillness. "She called me scary," he said. "Not directly, but that was what she meant." "Tae-jun." My own daughter looked at me as if I might become another person she needed protection from. For once, he did not hide what the realization had done to him. "I will not let that happen again." Imani's anger softened, but only slightly. "Then we handle this properly. We document everything. We speak to an attorney. We give the school no opportunity to turn this against Maya." Tae-jun looked at her. "You already believe they will try." "I attended a meeting with them. They were more concerned about Maya's beads than the way that teacher spoke to her. His eyes sharpened. What meeting? Imani told him everything. By the time she finished, Tae-jun had become frighteningly still. At 5 that evening, Principal Park called. Imani placed the phone on speaker. Mrs. Bennett, I'm calling regarding a serious incident involving Maya. An incident involving Maya, Imani repeated. Yes, according to Ms. Seo and several staff members, Maya became violent during her presentation. When Ms. Seo attempted to calm her, your daughter resisted and fell. She did not fall, Tae-jun said. Principal Park became silent. When she spoke again, her voice was more careful. Mr. Han, your unexpected presence also caused considerable distress. Several members of staff have reported feeling threatened. I told your teacher to release my daughter. You entered a classroom accompanied by 2 unidentified men. My security remained at the door until I found my child being assaulted. There is no evidence of an assault. There is a camera above the door. Unfortunately, we have been informed that the camera experienced a technical failure shortly before the incident. Tae-jun looked at Imani. Neither of them appeared surprised. I want that statement in writing, Imani said. Of course. Until the investigation is complete, Maya will be temporarily suspended. Imani stood so quickly that her chair struck the wall. You are suspending the child who was attacked. We are protecting the educational environment while we establish the facts. No, Tae-jun said quietly. You are establishing your story before the facts can reach anyone else. Principal Park's voice hardened. Is that a threat? It is an observation. He ended the call. Within an hour, Tae-jun assembled a legal team in the private conference room above his company headquarters. The lead attorney, Choi Eun-kyung, listened without interruption. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her early 40s who had represented executives, politicians, and people whose names never appeared in legal documents. The medical report helps, Eun-kyung said, but it proves that Maya was injured, not who caused the injury. There were 20 children in that classroom, Imani replied. 27-year-olds whose parents may not want them publicly opposing an elite school. The school erased the recording, Tae-jun said. Proving that will require access to the server. I can get access. Eun-kyung looked directly at him. Legally. Tae-jun did not answer. Imani placed her hand flat on the table. We do this legally. The school will use his reputation against us, Eun-kyung warned. The moment people discover who Maya's father is, the story will change. It will no longer be about what the teacher did. It will become a story about a frightened educator being confronted by an alleged crime boss. Alleged? Tae-jun asked. Eun-kyung raised one eyebrow. It is a useful word. Try not to ruin it. Under different circumstances, Imani might have smiled. Eun-kyung continued. We need witness statements, previous complaints, and the original recording. Until then, neither of you speaks publicly. But the school had already begun speaking. The next morning, an anonymous article appeared online. Mafia bus storms elementary school after daughter attacks teacher. The article described Maya as aggressive and emotionally unstable. It claimed Tae-jun had entered the classroom with armed men and threatened to destroy Ms. Seo. By noon, the story had spread across Seoul. A blurred photograph showed Tae-jun carrying Maya from the school. Her face was hidden against his shoulder, but his was clearly visible. Commenters questioned why the child of a suspected criminal had been admitted to Myeongseong Academy. Others accused Imani of using Tae-jun's power to silence a hard-working teacher. Someone published Imani's workplace. Someone else posted Maya's class photograph. Tae-jun ordered his security team to remove every image they could find, but new copies appeared faster than they could disappear. At home, Maya sat on the sofa while Imani switched off the television. Am I in trouble? Maya asked. No. Ms. Seo said I attacked her. Ms. Seo lied. But grown-ups believe teachers. Imani sat beside her. Some grown-ups believe the easiest story. That doesn't make it true. Maya looked down at the 3 beads still resting in her palm. Will Daddy hurt her? No. Imani answered, praying Tae-jun would keep his promise. Across the city, Tae-jun was asking Junho a different question. Who gave the photograph to the press? A school employee sent it to a reporter. Junho replied. We're narrowing it down. And the security recording? Deleted from the main server at 3:27 yesterday afternoon. The order came from Principal Park's office. Can you recover it? Possibly. But there's another problem. Junho handed him a document. Someone had submitted an anonymous report to the Seoul Child Protection Agency. It claimed Maya was being raised around armed criminals and that Tae-jun's violent behavior at the school had placed every child in danger. The report requested an emergency investigation into Maya's home environment. Tae-jun read it twice. They are using my daughter to protect themselves. They know your weakness now, Junho said. No. Tae-jun placed the document on his desk. They think they know my weakness. That evening, someone knocked on Imani's apartment door. She looked through the peephole and saw a woman and a man holding government identification. Tae-jun was seated with Maya at the dining table, helping her reconstruct the torn family drawing from memory. Imani opened the door only a few inches. Can I help you? The woman displayed her identification. My name is Jung So-young. We're from the Seoul Child Protection Agency. We received an urgent report concerning Maya Bennett. Maya heard her name and looked up. The investigator glanced past Imani and saw Tae-jun. Her expression changed immediately. We need to interview Maya privately, she said. And until our investigation is concluded, we may have to request an emergency order preventing Mr. Han from having contact with her. Maya dropped her pencil. Tae-jun slowly rose from his chair. The school had failed to erase the truth. So now, it was trying to take away his daughter. Tae-jun slowly rose from the dining table. The child protection investigator immediately stepped back. Her male colleague moved one hand toward the phone clipped to his belt. Maya saw everything. She saw the investigator's fear. She saw her father's expression change. She saw the same frightening stillness that had filled the classroom after Miss Seo released her hair. Then Tae-jun remembered the small hand that had grabbed his. Daddy, please don't scare me too. He lifted both hands slightly and stepped away from the table. You may speak with Maya, he said. I will wait outside. The investigator appeared surprised. We will also need to inspect the apartment. You have Imani's permission to inspect her home. You do not require mine. Tae-jun, Imani said carefully. He looked at her. I'm not giving them another reason to frighten our daughter. He took his coat and walked into the hallway. His security men moved toward him, but he ordered them to remain downstairs. For the next 40 minutes, the most feared man in Seoul sat alone on the apartment steps while strangers decided whether he was dangerous to the person he loved most. Inside, Jung So-young sat across from Maya. Do you know why we're here? Because my daddy is bad. Imani's heart tightened. The investigator leaned forward. Who told you that? People on television. And some children at school. Do you think your father is bad? Maya looked toward the door. My daddy scares other people. Does he scare you? Maya considered the question with the seriousness only a child could give it. He did at school. But when I asked him to stop, he stopped. What happened before that? Maya described the presentation. The torn drawing. Ms. Seo's hand closing around her braid. The sudden pain as the teacher pulled her backward. She did not dramatize it. She did not use adult words. She simply told the truth. Did your father touch Ms. Seo? No. Did he threaten her? He said to let go of me. Were the men with him carrying weapons? I don't know. They stayed near the door. What happened afterward? Daddy took me to the doctor. Then he helped me draw my family again. The investigator looked at the unfinished drawing on the table. Maya had drawn herself between Imani and Tae-jun, holding both their hands. All three people were smiling. When the interview ended, Tae-jun was permitted to return. There will be no emergency separation tonight, Jung So-young announced. Maya's account does not support the report we received. Imani released a breath. Tae-jun did not. Tonight, he asked. A formal investigation will continue. We need to examine your relationship with Maya and determine whether exposure to your lifestyle places her at risk. My lifestyle? I'm not here to discuss rumors, Mr. Han. I'm here to protect a child. So am I. Jong So-young held his gaze. Then give me no reason to believe otherwise. After the investigators left, Attorney Choi Eun-kyung arrived. She listened to everything and placed a folder on the dining table. The school is building 2 cases, she explained. The public case says Maya attacked her teacher. The private case says Tae-jun is too dangerous to challenge. Can they stop him from seeing her? Imani asked. If he threatens a witness, interferes with the investigation, or becomes connected to anything illegal, yes. Eun-kyung turned toward him. From this moment onward, every person who dislikes you is hoping you lose your temper. Tae-jun looked toward Maya's bedroom. They put their hands on her. Then they lied about her. Now they want to use my past to take her away. I understand. No, you understand the law. You don't understand what I want to do. Eun-kyung did not look away. I understand perfectly. That is why I am warning you not to do it. Tae-jun walked to the window. I can enter the school's servers tonight. And every piece of evidence you find could become legally useless. I can make Principal Park confess. And the Child Protection Agency will use your methods to separate you from Maya. Imani stepped beside him. You promised her. Tae-jun's jaw tightened. He had built an empire by ensuring that people regretted hurting what belonged to him. But Maya did not belong to him like a company, territory, or debt. She trusted him. That required a different kind of power. No illegal access, he finally said. No threats. We find another way. The first crack in the school's story appeared the following morning. Imani received a message from an unknown number. My son was in Maya's classroom. He says the teacher lied. Can we meet somewhere private? The sender was Minute Ho's mother, Lee Sun-hee. She met Imani and Eun-kyung inside a small cafe across the city. Minute Ho sat beside her, twisting the sleeves of his school jumper. Tell them what you told me, Sun-hee encouraged. Minute Ho looked at Imani. Maya didn't attack Miss Seo. Her picture tore, and Miss Seo pulled her braid. Did you tell the principal? Eun-kyung asked. Minute Ho nodded. She said children misunderstand things. Sun-hee removed a letter from her handbag. The school sent this yesterday. It says Minute Ho may lose his academic scholarship if he spreads harmful allegations about a staff member. That is witness intimidation, Eun-kyung said. I thought so. But I was afraid. I'm raising him alone. I can't afford that school without the scholarship. Imani reached across the table. You don't have to risk his education for us. Sun-hee shook her head. I watched that article call your daughter violent. If I stay silent, I'm teaching my son that the truth only matters when it is convenient. Minute Ho's statement opened a door. Within 2 days, 3 more parents contacted Eun-kyung. One had a biracial daughter who was repeatedly punished for wearing her natural curls. Another had withdrawn her black son after Ms. Seo described him as physically intimidating, although he had been only 6 years old. The third parent possessed emails she had sent to Principal Park the previous year. None had received a proper response. The school dismissed the accounts as unrelated grievances from dissatisfied families. Then a former teaching assistant named Kim Nai called. I worked in Ms. Seo's classroom for 18 months, she told Eun-kyung. I kept copies of the complaints. Why? Because Principal Park ordered me to destroy the originals. Nai agreed to meet them that evening. She never arrived. After 30 minutes, Eun-kyung called her. The phone had been switched off. Tae-jun's men found Nai sitting inside her car in an underground parking garage. She was unharmed, but a man had followed her from work and placed an envelope beneath her windshield wiper. Inside was a photograph of her elderly father leaving his apartment. Beneath it were 6 words. Some truths are dangerous to your family. Nai's hands shook when she showed them the envelope. I can't testify, she whispered. I'm sorry. Tae-jun stood several feet away, struggling against every instinct that had kept him alive. "Do you know who followed you?" he asked. "No. I can protect your father." Nai looked at the security men behind him. "That is what they said about you. They said if I helped Maya, I would be choosing between the school and a war." Tae-jun dismissed his men from the room. Then he sat across from her without the armor of people who feared him. "I will not ask you to enter a war," he said. "Give the documents to Attorney Choi anonymously. Take your father somewhere safe. You never have to speak publicly. Will that be enough?" "No," Eun-kyung answered honestly, "but it will prove the school knew about the complaints." Nai opened her bag and removed a thick brown envelope. Inside were 17 complaints involving Ms. Seo. Some described insults about skin color. Others documented punishments connected to hairstyles, accents, and cultural clothing. Each complaint carried Principal Park's handwritten instruction. Resolved internally. No further action. The evidence proved a pattern, but it still did not prove exactly what happened to Maya. That changed the following afternoon. Minute Ho's mother called Imani again. "There's something you need to see." Before the cultural presentations, Ms. Seo had instructed a student named Yuna to record each child using a classroom tablet. The recordings were supposed to be uploaded to the school's learning portal so parents could watch them later. When the incident occurred, Yuna dropped the tablet on her chair. The camera continued recording. Principal Park had collected and erased the classroom devices, but Yuna's account was connected to her father's phone. Every video had automatically uploaded to the family's private cloud storage. The video began with Maya standing before the class, holding her family drawing. Her voice was clear. "My mother is Nigerian American, and my father is Korean." The recording captured every interruption, every cruel remark, the drawing tearing between Maya and the teacher. Then Miss Seo's fingers closed around Maya's braid. The image shook as Yuna dropped the tablet, but the audio continued. Maya cried out. The classroom door opened. "Take your hand off my daughter." For several seconds, nobody in the conference room moved. Imani covered her mouth. Tae-jun stared at the screen, watching the moment again, the moment he had arrived too late to prevent. But the recording had captured something else. After Tae-jun carried Maya away, the tablet was placed inside the charging cabinet without being switched off. The screen went dark, but Principal Park's voice remained audible. "Your teacher experienced a very upsetting incident today. Discussing it outside this classroom could damage her reputation." Then Minute Ho's small voice. "But she pulled Maya's hair." Sometimes children misunderstand what they see. A door closed. Principal Park spoke again. "How much did the camera capture?" Ms. Seo answered. "Everything." There was the sound of a phone being dialed. Then 3 words that changed the entire case. "Delete the recording." Imani looked at Tae-jun. His expression was no longer angry. It was colder than anger. Eun-kyung immediately created multiple legal copies of the file and arranged for an independent digital expert to verify its origin. "This is enough," she said. "The assault, the false report, the pressure placed on the children and the destruction of evidence, it's all here." "Release it tonight," Tae-jun ordered. "No, we present it at the emergency board hearing tomorrow. If we release it carelessly, the school will seek an injunction based on the children's privacy." Junho entered the conference room and placed a photograph on the table. The man in the image was leaving Principal Park's private residence. Nai recognized him immediately. "That's the man who followed me." Junho leaned toward Tae-jun. "His name is Cho Dae-sik. He works for the chairman of the school board. My men have located him." "Where?" "An abandoned office near the Eastern Docks." Everyone in the room understood what that location meant in Tae-jun's world. Imani stepped in front of him. "Don't." He threatened Nai's father. "And if you touch him, they will take Maya away from you." Tae-jun looked at the video frozen on the screen. Ms. Seo's hand was wrapped around his daughter's braid. Then he looked at Imani. "I won't touch him." "Tae-jun, I gave Maya my word." An hour later, Tae-jun entered the abandoned office alone. Cho Dae-sik was seated beneath a hanging light. There were no injuries on his body, but fear had soaked through his shirt. Tae-jun placed a phone on the table between them and activated its recorder. "You threatened a witness," he said. "I was following orders." "Whose orders?" Cho said nothing. Tae-jun sat opposite him. Years earlier, silence would have been answered with pain. Tonight, he opened a folder containing bank transfers, photographs, and messages connecting Cho to the school board chairman. "You have two choices," Tae-jun said. "Confess to the police and tell them who hired you, or every person you work for will learn you kept enough evidence to betray them." Cho stared at the folder. "You wouldn't do that. They would kill me." Tae-jun leaned forward. "Then perhaps you should choose the police." By midnight, Cho Dae-sik had surrendered himself with an attorney and a recorded confession. Tae-jun returned to Imani's apartment just before dawn. Maya was asleep on the sofa, waiting for him. Her repaired family drawing rested on her chest. Imani stood in the doorway. "Did you keep your promise?" "Yes." "No one was hurt?" "No one." For the first time since the incident, Imani allowed herself to believe him completely. She moved aside and let him enter. The following morning, Myeongseong International Academy's board members gathered for what they believed would be a private hearing about Maya's suspension. Ms. Seo arrived with an attorney. Principal Park arrived with prepared statements. The board chairman arrived believing the recording had been destroyed and the only witness had been silenced. Then Tae-jun entered with Imani, Maya, attorney Choi Eun-kyung, and 5 other families. Eun-kyung placed a laptop on the table. Principal Park stared at it. "What is that?" Tae-jun pulled out a chair for his daughter. "The truth," he said. "The part you forgot to delete." Attorney Choi Eun-kyung connected the laptop to the large screen at the front of the boardroom. The school board chairman, Chairman Oh, immediately raised his hand. "Before anything is played, we must establish whether this material was obtained legally." "It was recovered from the private cloud account of a student's parent," Eun-kyung replied. "The original file has been examined by an independent digital expert. The metadata confirms the date, location, and device on which it was recorded. This recording involves children," Ms. Seo's attorney argued, "showing it would violate their privacy. Every identifiable child has been removed from the visible frame except Maya," Eun-kyung said. "Her parents have given permission." Principal Park looked around the room. "This is supposed to be a disciplinary hearing. Why are these other families here?" A black father sitting behind Imani answered, "Because you ignored us when we came alone." Beside him sat a Korean mother whose biracial daughter had left Myeongseong Academy the previous year. Another couple held copies of unanswered complaints. Minute-ho and his mother sat near the door. Principal Park had expected one frightened family. Instead, she was facing everyone she had convinced to remain silent. Chairman Oh leaned toward Tae-jun. "Mr. Han, your presence is intimidating these proceedings." Tae-jun remained seated. "I haven't raised my voice." "Your reputation speaks loudly enough." "That reputation did not pull my daughter's hair." The chairman's mouth tightened. Eun-kyung pressed play. Maya appeared on the screen holding her family drawing. "My mother is Nigerian-American, and my father is Korean." Imani reached beneath the table and took Maya's hand. The board watched Ms. Seo interrupt the presentation. They heard her describe Maya's hair as a distraction. They saw her seize the child's drawing. Then the paper tore. Ms. Seo's hand closed around Maya's braid. Several board members looked away when Maya cried out. Tae-jun did not. He forced himself to watch every second. He needed to remember what happened when adults decided a child's pain was less important than their comfort. The image disappeared when the tablet was placed inside the charging cabinet, but the audio continued. Principal Park's voice filled the room. "Your teacher experienced a very upsetting incident today. Discussing it outside this classroom could damage her reputation." Then Minute-ho's voice. "But she pulled Maya's hair." Sometimes children misunderstand what they see. A heavy silence followed. Then came the final conversation. "How much did the camera capture?" "Everything." A phone dialed. "Delete the recording." Kyung stopped the video. No one moved. Principal Park's prepared statement remained untouched in front of her. That recording has been manipulated, she said. The expert's report says otherwise. I was concerned about misinformation spreading among the children. My words are being presented without context. What context makes deleting evidence acceptable? Imani asked. Principal Park turned toward her. You entered this school determined to see discrimination in every attempt to correct your daughter. Imani slowly stood. My daughter was dragged by her hair. Ms. Seo was trying to control an unruly child. Maya's fingers tightened around her mother's hand. Tae-jun began to rise. Maya looked at him. He stopped. Imani felt the change. Tae-jun was angry, but he was allowing her to decide what happened next. That was new. She faced Principal Park. You called her unruly because she refused to let you erase half of who she is. You called her aggressive because you believed people would find that easier to accept than the truth. Ms. Seo stood beside her attorney. I did not target Maya because she is black. Her hairstyle violated classroom standards. Kyung opened the school's official handbook. Show us the standard. The teacher has discretion over disruptive appearances. Did the Korean student wearing red ribbons receive punishment? Ms. Seo said nothing. Did the student with bells attached to her school bag receive punishment? No answer. Were any of those children forced to sit at the back? Ms. Seo folded her arms. Maya constantly brought attention to being different. She was different, Imani said. You were the one who decided different meant wrong. Kyung placed the brown envelope from Kim Naoi on the table. These are 17 complaints made against Ms. Seo during the last 3 years. 12 involve black or biracial children. Each complaint was marked resolved internally by Principal Park. Chairman O looked at Principal Park. You told the board there had been no previous complaints. They were minor misunderstandings. The boardroom door opened. Kim Naoi entered. Principal Park's face collapsed. Naoi appeared frightened, but she kept walking until she reached Kyung. These are copies of the original complaints, she said. Principal Park ordered me to destroy the files. When I refused, the school terminated my employment. You signed a confidentiality agreement, Chairman O warned. Naoi turned toward him. Your employee followed me home and threatened my father. That is an outrageous accusation. Then perhaps you should explain why he surrendered to the police last night. 2 police investigators entered the room. Chairman O stood. This meeting is over. No, one of the board members said. It is not. The elderly Korean woman had remained silent throughout the recording. Now she removed her glasses and looked directly at Chairman O. 4 years, this board accepted Principal Park's reports without speaking to the families involved. We allowed the school's reputation to become more important than its children. She looked at Maya. That failure belongs to all of us. Chairman O attempted to leave, but the investigators asked him to remain available for questioning regarding the intimidation of a witness. For the first time, the powerful man looked toward Tae-jun for help. Tae-jun gave him none. Ms. Seo's attorney whispered urgently in her ear. She lowered her voice. I may have handled the situation poorly, but I should not lose my career because of one mistake. One mistake? Minute Ho's mother repeated. The other families began placing their complaints on the table, one after another. Different children, different years, the same teacher, the same principal, the same silence. Maya tugged gently at Imani's sleeve. Mommy, can I say something? You don't have to. I know. Imani looked at Tae-jun. He knelt beside Maya. If you want to leave, we leave. Maya shook her head. She walked to the front of the boardroom carrying the repaired family drawing. Her hands trembled, but her voice did not. My hair wasn't hurting anyone, she said. Every adult became silent. Ms. Seo hurt me because my hair belonged to me. Then she told everybody I was bad because she thought nobody would listen to a child. Ms. Seo looked down. Maya held up the drawing. This is my mother. This is my father. I am both of them. I shouldn't have to hide one part so people will be nice to the other part. Tae-jun closed his eyes. Imani's tears fell freely now. Maya returned to her seat between them. This time, Tae-jun took one of her hands while Imani held the other. The hearing lasted another 3 hours. By the end, Maya's suspension had been withdrawn and removed from her record. Ms. Seo was dismissed from her position and referred for investigation. Principal Park was suspended immediately for destroying evidence and submitting false statements. Chairman Oh resigned from the board before the police investigation into witness intimidation had concluded. Myeongseong Academy issued a public apology to Maya and the other families. The school also agreed to establish an independent system for reporting discrimination, revise its appearance policies, and bring in outside specialists to train its staff. But Imani refused to let the school use Maya's face in its public relations campaign. My daughter is not your evidence that you have changed, she told the new acting principal. Your actions will have to prove that. The article accusing Maya of attacking her teacher disappeared from several news sites. It was replaced by another headline. 7-year-olds recording exposes abuse and cover-up at elite school. Tae-jun disliked the attention surrounding Maya, but he did not use his power to erase the story. For once, the truth needed to remain visible. Jong So-young from the Child Protection Agency visited Imani's apartment one final time. The complaint against you appears to have been retaliatory, she told Tae-jun. We will be closing that portion of the investigation. That portion. We still have concerns about the people surrounding you. Tae-jun glanced at Maya, who was drawing at the dining table. So do I. The investigator studied him. What are you going to do about it? For most of his life, Tae-jun had believed power meant ensuring that nobody could take anything from him. Fatherhood was teaching him something different. True power meant becoming someone his daughter would never need to fear. Over the following months, Tae-jun began separating his legitimate businesses from the criminal organization he had built. He closed operations that depended on violence and removed men who refused to live by the new rules. It was neither easy nor immediate. Enemies interpreted his change as weakness. Former allies accused Imani of controlling him. Some even blamed Maya for softening a man they believed should remain merciless. They were wrong. Tae-jun was not becoming weak. He had finally found something worth becoming better for. 3 months after the hearing, Maya prepared to return to Myeongseong Academy. Imani stood behind her in the bedroom, dividing her hair into careful sections. Tae-jun watched from the doorway. You can come in, Imani said. I am in. You are standing outside the room like security. He stepped inside. Imani handed him one of the braids. Hold this. Tae-jun looked at it as if she had handed him an explosive device. What do I do? You hold it. I am holding it. Gently. He loosened his grip immediately. Maya watched him through the mirror and giggled. The whole city is scared of you, but you're scared of my hair. I am being cautious. It's just hair, Daddy. Tae-jun met her eyes in the mirror. No, he said. It is part of you. That makes it important. Imani showed him how to thread a golden bead onto the end of a braid. His first attempt failed. The second bead fell onto the floor. On his third attempt, he succeeded. Maya examined it in the mirror. It's crooked. Tae-jun frowned. Imani laughed. Together, they finished decorating Maya's braids. When they arrived at school, Tae-jun remained beside the car. You don't have to walk me inside, Maya said. I know. Are you going to watch from here? Yes. Maya ran several steps toward the entrance, then stopped and returned. She wrapped her arms around his waist. I'm not scared anymore. Tae-jun placed one hand carefully over her braids. Neither am I. Imani watched from beside the car. When Maya joined her classmates, she reached for Tae-jun's hand. It was not forgiveness for everything. It was not a promise that their family had already been repaired. It was simply permission to take the next step together. The teacher had pulled Maya's hair because she wanted the child to feel small. But that same moment taught a feared man how to become gentle, gave frightened families the courage to speak, and reminded an entire school that silence does not erase the truth. Sometimes the strongest form of protection is not revenge. It is standing beside someone until the world can no longer pretend not to see them. If this story touched you, subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who believes every child deserves to feel safe, valued, and proud of who they are. And tell us in the comments, did Tae-jun make the right decision by choosing justice over revenge?